Hi, all. Episode 8. What comes next? This video will be a little different. Apparently, we're gonna have like some bad weather coming through. So I won't be able to get to the comments, but there's some I specifically want to get to later. I know bubble itches, especially by the debris effect. Kage Kaiju. This is not gonna be the end of Abria and Dr. Limpkin, as always. I really do appreciate the links. But I'll be in the comment section a little later, but gotta do it a little different because apparently we're gonna have like super bad weather. Episode 8. What comes next? What comes next is we're finally at the end of this. I'm gonna try to keep this as nice as I can. Is this a good episode? In my humble opinion, that it is, no. This episode this is an episode for people who love a word that I don't like to use, toxic gaming, toxic DMing. If you are into that sort of thing, you're into player abuse, you'll love this episode. If you're into decency and Dungeons and Dragons at its purest form, you're not going to enjoy this episode. You'll enjoy a kill scene that happens, but that's probably about it. And if you're not into gore, then you're not going to enjoy that either. I've got my notes as usual, and they're a lot. Like they're a lot. Like I put my pen down because I just I had to watch this twice, including working today. Let's get into it. I'm not gonna go over like too many fine details, but I'm gonna hit some stuff. We come from last week's episode where we wind up at the ruins, deciphered them, exploded, place of power and potential. We're catching up. Orm has dropped down to the ground. He notices an additional 2 figures. Turns out to be like an archer and like a mage, I believe, or some kind of spellcaster. He winds up getting himself between Murata and Opal. The rest of the crew winds up coming on down. They start their interactions with the construct. And this, I'm going to start giving you some timestamps for some things. Around the 22, 23 minute mark, we're on Opal's turn, and because she's pinned to the ground. Last week she was pinned by her shoulders. Apparently this week she's pinned by her shoulders and her head to the ground. So what she decides to do is that she's like, well, I'll try to fill in my pocket for the ring, and I will try to talk to my sister. Reach out to Ted. She gets told that she can do one or the other. I didn't think just a quick mental thing to your patron would be a problem, especially because we want to find out, oh no, they're right there with you. Like, your patron's right there with you. Ted is right there with you. They're looking through your eyes. But she gets told that she can do one or the other, and if she decides to go for the ring, it's going to require a check. So she decides to talk to Ted. Orm sort of blocks Murata's view so that she can't, see what's going on. Orm makes an attack at Murata, which causes, the initiative to go off. Combat's continuing. Dorian makes an attack. Not Dorian. Yeah. Dorian makes an attack at the construct. During this process, the power potential around them, they're still connected to it. Murata notices it. So instead of his attack doing, the half damage to the construct, he's giving the, you get to do full damage sort of thing. We come around to Opal's turn, and as a bonus action, she exploits curses Murata, And she's like, well, God, what can I do next? Like, I need to be able to move. I got to get mobile. I need to be able to move. And it's at the 43-ish minute mark that Abria goes, how are you trying to move? I'm asking an intelligence questions here of either your character or you. Way to insult somebody. Um, there's been a lot of aggression in this campaign. I hope whoever at CR is in charge of this next fixes that, because you don't need nobody doing that at your stuff. Not with the messages you all claim you're supporting. But that's what she gets told. How are you trying to move? I'm asking an intelligence question here of either your character or you. Now, we know she is, gravity is on her shoulders, and Murata is also standing on the wrist, so she's like, well, what do I do? So she's like, well, I'll try to, go for the needles. Her saying, well, I guess I'll try to go for the needles. She's met with another statement. This will sound very condescending. Thank you for finally interacting with those needles. Well, we learn later on that even if she interacts with those needles, she's screwed. So she's like, well, she doesn't get to do that. Why? Why doesn't she get to interact with the needles? Well, it's because, remember the turn before, she was told you can either talk to Ted or you can go for the ring. Well, she went for the ring. But now the GM says, oh, your hand's in your pocket. No, they're not. No. You gave her an option of one or the other. She couldn't do both. But, well, she's like, well, because I'm stupid, playing off, the hurt or embarrassment, because, she's a newbie. She's a bit confused. So she decides to put the ring on and becomes invisible. Continuing on, Murata winds up reaching towards the miasma in the sky, this big thing of potential. Lightning shoots all across the place. We make a bunch of wisdom saves. And we bring out the map. Place everybody on the map. We continue combat. It's during Fern's turn. Mister is transformed into his fire form. And this is where we see the first bit of playing with armor classes for bad guys based on who you are. Instead of the AC being the continued AC class of 16, the armor class is now 13, so that Mister can get all his hits in. We continue on. It's about 59 minutes in. We bring out some new items to the map. There's like a big tendril and there's like a big blobby piece in the middle of the map. And as we bring this out, we go, Opal, we need you to make a charisma save. And it turns out that Ted is being ripped out and is kind of trying to form into whatever that is based off what Murata did. Fight continues on. Dariax, for one of his attacks, says he's going to fly down, attack Murata, and then go up. He flies down, he makes his attack, he misses, he shoots straight up. No attack of opportunity made against him. We continue on. Dorian winds up killing one of the constructs. It's this next bit where the now invisible Opal is now suddenly hit with 2 additional needles. No roll. It's you got 2 needles in your leg now. So now we got both shoulders, the head, and now the legs, but no rolls. We continue on, and we get back to Opal, and she's trying to get up, and she fails her regular roll, she fails her inspiration roll, and we start this trend of about an hour and 7 minutes in of how bad do you want this? She said, well, I really want to be able to get up and move. Like, I really need this. So what happens is the Spider Queen winds up talking to her. She doesn't give her any, she doesn't help her up or give her any special powers or boosts. She basically just kind of condescends and belittles her. In fact, it's at the 1 hour and 9 minute mark that she goes, um, what she can do for her is she can get the ability to be less fucking useless right now. Is what she gets told by the Spider Queen. Um, you can see that some of the cast notice it. There's already some facial expressions going on because it's a bit of an exchange. But that's what she gets told, that she could, if she works with her, get the ability to be less fucking useless right now. She's finally free of being able to talk to the Spider Queen in her head. She shouts out for Dariax to help her. It's at that point that Abria now makes the point of going, well, you're invisible. Well, if she was invisible, then how did she get hit with those needles? Whatever. We come up to Murata's turn, and this is where it gets a bit interesting, because Murata was right beside Opal, Orem, right beside him, with Dorian above, Dariax above, but at some point she's turned magically invisible. She's down in the middle of the map, and she's shooting Eldritch Blasts. It's like neither Orem nor Opal got an attack of opportunities, but she's gone. I don't know. And this is where we start seeing a bit more of that, you're like, all right, maybe the Opal stuff was just a little bit of early shade. No, we start to see some more of that favoritism come out. We've already lowered the AC, and now we're going to get a bit more. So, Orm's turn comes up, and he was right beside Murata. Now he needs to be able to get across the map and up to another person. Well, how bad do you want to get there? It's the only thing I can do to, be able to help out. Okay, well, you get there. That's only your movement. Should have cost him his movement and his action. No, don't worry about it. It only costs you your movement. Oh, also, you have all your superiority dice back and take an extra maneuver. Oh, just give out the stuff. Fight continues. End of the round, Murata, we're going to assume it's a legendary action kind of deal. She shoots Eldritch Blast at Fern, who has now turned herself into a direwolf and has been attacking that extra caster. We have a ground effect that sort of goes off. The effect is it shakes, and if you fail your save, you fall to the ground prone. Except this time we also get a map update. One of those tendrils that was on the map now becomes a fully fledged hand, and that centerpiece starts to look a little more like a face. And Murata has now appeared visibly, standing on top of the hand. Round continues, and Matt, because the turn before Opal had asked Doriax to help her, so Matt lands down beside her, and the moment he lands, he goes, "Hey, what do you need of me?" Asking the player. And so, respectfully, she asks, "Hey, can I reach my hand out to him?" This is about the 1 hour, 26 minute mark. Matt asks the question to Opal. Opal asks the GM, can I reach out to him? And it's a case of she gets told, what part of it's hard for you to move are you not interacting with as a human? One more time. What part of it's hard for you to move are you not interacting with as a human? But y'all say there's people out there who are defending her as this great person. That's not a great person. Well, to do a little something during this scene, she's like, well, you can make yourself visible, like if you can move your fingers. To move her own fingers, Opal has to make an athletics check to interact with her hand because her shoulders are pinned to the ground. I don't know about you all, but I'm moving all this just fine. But that's what she does to her player. On top of that, she goes, Matt, what do you want to do? I want to be able to help her. Well, what does she give Matt? She gives Matt a haste spell as well. We continue on, and now Dorian winds up flying down towards Opal. Well, the moment he goes near Opal, the Spider Queen decides she wants to talk to him. He basically lets Spider Queen know, I ain't got time for you right now. He's down here to help Opal. So he goes to pull one of those needles that we talked about earlier that's holding her down. And as he does that, he gets like 2 points of psychic damage. Opal gets 2 points of psychic damage. And she gets to feel Ted get ripped out of her even more. And she goes, well, since you pull that, we'll just make that, I'm going to relegate all that to a bonus action. So you still have your regular action. Oh, okay. Well, he uses it like he should and takes a health potion. And to go along with that, because he helped her, guess what happens next? Murata gets a turn. And now she shoots at him, which makes him unconscious, which makes Opal feel really bad. We come around to Opal's turn, and it's at the, she's trying to figure out what to do, about the 1 hour, 37 minute mark. And she's now told, where before it was, the ring is an action, talking to your sister is an action. Now, the ring can be used as an action or a bonus action, and talking to your sister can be now an action or a bonus action. Well, she's like, well, I'm trying to figure out what to do. Well, because you've given her an extra thing, she now has access to her bonus actions, or just free actions, which some of that should be. She shoots an Eldritch Blast at Murata. Rolls a 17. That misses. Keep track of that. That's important. She rolled a 17 to hit Murata. It misses. So she goes, well, all right, so I'll just put the ring on. Oh, by the way, also, I'm going to say you're heavy now because of those darts, which she was moving just fine before. I mean, I guess they're active now, whatever. But now she's heavy. Oh, crap. I really wanted to give him healing. Can I retract putting the ring on and just be visible and give him healing? Oh, roll your d20. Well, there's a little exchange. Well, can I talk to the spider itch? Oh, no, you know what? No, you don't get it. I'm taking it away from you. You don't get to because you didn't do what the Spider Queen wanted you to do. I'm just going to take that away. There's nothing you can do about it. The cast is noticing all of this as well. Don't think they're not, because Robbie specifically says something to the effect of taking that BDSM outfit seriously today. We continue on, and right after this, immediately afterwards, it's Murata's turn. About the 1 hour, 40-ish minute mark. Murata shoots an Eldritch Blast at Orem, missing Orem. The DM retracts her action. The player couldn't just retract it one turn ago, but the DM now retracts their action because they missed Orem, so they're going to shoot at the pillar under him to hit the pillar under him, so something will happen later. Doesn't make a difference, though, because Orem winds up jumping off of there, killing an archer. The fight continues. We have another ground effect. And remember, she's made Opal heavy. So what she does now, she says, well, make your deck saves. Oh, Opal, you got to do yours at disadvantage because you're heavy. Well, I'll let you, if you want to do strength, she's already got her stats sitting there. But if you want to do strength, you can do that normal. Well, you were going to screw her over. It made no difference. What happened naturally? She failed. Prone. It's here that we have our final map change, and you'll notice that during this little sequence just how dejected Amy is. Like you can see him sort of texting back and forth to each other. But we make the final map change. We got a full face now. We go to break. We come back from break, and Dariax brings Dorian back to life. He's hasted and whatnot. Brings him back to life, grabs him, moves forward 70 feet, and shoots up the other feet to attack Murata. attacks her with his heavy ability, crits the damage. We continue on in the fight. Ted um, eventually gets their turn. Do they attack anybody else? They specifically look at Opal and unleash this sort of breath weapon attack that winds up taking Mister out. She was hoping to kill Opal, but it didn't. She made her save. So now I have an unconscious Mister. Come around to Dorian's turn. He uses a cure wounds on himself to get some more hate points back. And she goes, well, should I do the mean thing? I think I'll do the mean thing. She casts Counterspell, which didn't really make a difference because he could just take a potion. And it's here we see some more of that. Some people are allowed to reverse their actions. Takes his potion. I'm gonna go up to Dariax. Okay. Oh well, should I do that? Well, no, I'll just go straight up 30 feet. Okay, sure, that can happen. Boom, you're up 30 feet. It's around the 2 hours and 25 minute mark that we are able to. We give Opal the option to talk to Ted again if they want, but now instead of being an action or a bonus action, it's going to be a full action. And the reason it's going to be a full action is because there was a chance that when Dariax flew off, that she could have grabbed the satchel that had the circlet in it. But now it's going to be back to a full action if you want to talk to Ted. Well, she's like, well, I'm guessing she figured she was going to get screwed over anyway. So she decides to talk to Ted, her patron, her sister. Maybe she'll get a break here. She doesn't get one. She rolls a 20. Where basically what happens is Ted talks to her, and it's, it winds up being this pretty sad thing about, I'm sort of starting to forget who you even are. Like, I don't recognize, it's like, it gets pretty crappy. We get to the 2 hours and 30 minute mark, and we finally give her a chance to do an extra action where it's like, well, sure, I guess you could have maybe made a play on that bag to grab the circlet. 2 hours and 30 minutes in. We've been handicapping this player. This episode is only about 3 hours and 30 minutes long once you take out the breaks. 2 hours and 30 minutes, we finally let her get like an extra action. Fight continues, Murata's turn, Orm's turn, legendary action comes up. Because Dariax flew up beside Murata, she grabs her hands around him and she casts Inflict Wounds, which winds up taking him out. Instead of letting him fall down to the ground, she holds onto him like a meat shield, if you will. So that if anybody were to attack her, she would fall backwards and he would also fall backwards, which would, basically kill him. So we're on Fern's turn, and Fern hasn't, she's a bit indecisive about what she wants to do, so we let Opal get a roll to see if she would notice anything happens, and this is about the 2 hours and 39 minute mark, and, it's that the circlet has fallen out of Dariax's bag. We continue on, and we get round to Dorian's turn, and he wants to be able to Dorian wants to be able to cure Dariax. Well, in order to do that, he's got to make an attack roll against Murata in order to be able to do this. Now, remember earlier I said, remember that number 17. Armor class of 17 was not a hit for Opal. Dorian rolls an armor class 17 to get past Murata to be able to cure Dorian. What should have happened? It should have failed, but it didn't, because Maddie Waddy needs to be saved, because she needs to be able to continue to be on his good graces, apparently. I know I'm sounding a little bit, I apologize, but this episode was a bit much. But So he gets to beat that. It's like, oh, well, that's a spell. So she's going to try to counterspell you. You beat her AC, but it's a spell. So she's going to try to counterspell you. But how bad do you want it? Well, all you got to say is, yeah, I want it bad. She was going to give it to him. She wasn't going to let Matt's character be there and be in harm's way for long. I want it pretty bad. Well, what happens? The Spider Queen, for whatever reason, who says she couldn't get involved in helping Opal with Ted, because I can't get involved in that, gets involved in that she has tons of spiders exit the mouth of Murata so that she can't cast Counterspell, thereby allowing Dariax to be healed. Oh, and also, I'm going to give you an extra action. So he also gets an extra action to hit Murata. Ay, ay, ay. Eventually come around to Opal's turn. It's at the 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 55-ish seconds mark that she finally gets told that, oh, she's trying, she hadn't even decided what she's going to do. It's been like 3 to 5 seconds maximum. And she's like, oh, well, you can, talk to Ted if you want. She's like, I can't talk to Ted. That'll take my action. Oh, no, it won't take your action anymore. 2 hours, 53 minutes, and about 55 seconds. Now it won't take an action. Wow. So she makes it to, all right, well, I talked to Ted. Well, it turns out, make a perception check. Oh, you realize that it's not actually Ted that was talking to you? It was Murata. What? It's embarrassing is what this is becoming. So, it's at the 2 hours and 56-ish minute mark. Opal's still Opal's turn. And she's like, Abria to the camera, like, it's been like 8 weeks, somebody's gonna put on my crown. It's been 8 weeks, somebody's gonna put on my crown. Like, it's gonna happen. So she's cutting off the angles for anything else that Opal can do. She can't Eldritch Blast up top. She can't go to Ted because Ted is now fully controlled by Murata, and you've just told everybody you're gonna put this crown on her. It's gonna happen. I'm taking away 100% of player agency. There's gonna be people like, no, she's playing her character. No. She wasn't playing her character at that point. There's clear indications she wasn't. Because she goes, well, I'm just gonna Eldritch Blast. Well, it's a super high AC to be able to Eldritch Blast. Yes, there's cover, blah, blah, blah. Short of getting a natural 20, she could have rolled a 19 plus whatever, and she wasn't going to hit. It was going to have to be a 20. I could see that. Anybody could see that. That's all. That's the only way she was going to be able to hit her. So she's still like, whatever, rolling her dice, and right before she gets ready to drop it, Bria goes, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw. Rolls a 16, which I think is pretty good. Spider Queen goes back to talking to her. It's at the 2 hours and 57 minute mark, in about 58 seconds, that the Spider Queen, because she won't put on the crown and she just wants the Eldritch Blast, the player has made a decision and you're prolonging it, goes, the Spider Queen again, calls her a fucking coward. Well, now she's a fucking coward, and the AC to hit Murata has significantly gone up. You're not leaving her any options. It's at the 2 hours, 58 minute, and about 25 seconds mark that Abria, and I want to make this very clear, Abria, because she's not adding in the Spider Queen, because we're back to the camera talking. Abria goes, do you want to confirm the kill? Put the hat on. That's the GM, because she doesn't want to be a DM. That's the GM telling the player, if you put this on, I'll do it, because I'm not going to give you anything else. You've made your call, you made your decision, and I'm going to keep taking it. You're a new player, and I'm going to continue to pressure you. So she caves in. She puts the crown on, which basically gives her like the long rest, so she gets all her spell slots back and her HP and all that. But it does come with the -2 charisma and a +2 dex. She's eventually able to Misty step up and gets like this really nice brutal kill. If you're not into gore, then you're not gonna, you can be like, I'm gonna stay away from that. But it's a pretty nice brutal kill. Fight's over. Cut to Orm. Orm is looking up at, he saw what just happened. He's got his blade out. He makes a history check, and it's like, well, it's just power. There's no good. There's no evil. There's just power and potential. We get to the next scene where it's Dorian, makes this sort of like residuum tether to Opal, to Ted, and they all sort of do these little skill checks to make a glyph that they're hoping will put Ted back into Opal for whatever this weird connection is. Y'all make a bunch of different kinds of checks. Opal's not allowed to use her persuasion for whatever reason. She has to use like a religion check, which leads into like a backstory of, well, you remember your mother leaving? It's like, wow, way to go. You remember your mother leaving, and when you think about her, you'd always see her looking in the mirror, like sort of like looking like inwardly at herself. Basically, there's like some kind of weird, they're like soul connection twins. And they ask her, well, do you still feel Ted within you? And she's like, Jim, you feel Ted, is she alive? In her own way. It's like, okay. After that scene, we revive Mister. There's a scene where she attempts to take the crown off. Bria knows she can't do it, and he's like, no, you're not getting that off. Dariax comes up with the name, the Crown Keepers. They do decide that they're going to sort of remain a party. They're going to look for Omeji. Probably at some point they're going to stop back at Opal's hometown to see Ted, who, I don't know what Bria's done to Ted. I don't know. This episode for me personally was just bad. It's just bad. It was a look at how not to DM, how and for me personally, the people who say that this was a great episode and it was all just acting, and it's like, you're the same people who say that someone like me is toxic because I give out a critique to improve a hobby. But a GM sitting there verbally berating a player in front of everybody is completely fine. It's just entertainment. This is the worst episode and the worst thing I have ever seen on the Critical Role Network. And Matthew Mercer, I wish you could see this. Matthew Mercer should be ashamed of himself for sitting in that chair and letting that happen I was about to say that girl, but to that young lady. That is shameful. Liam O'Brien should feel ashamed to sit there and watch someone be berated like that. Not for one episode, not for 2 episodes, but for more than 3 episodes. But this last episode was the biggest embarrassment I have ever seen of a GM. I am 100% ashamed of whoever at Critical Role approved this show. They knew what they sold us, and this was garbage. I could have probably let a lot of this slide had that ending not been that. I think it was Kage Kaju. It was like, maybe this is the end of her meddling in the world. But clearly said, Exandria Unlimited Campaign 1. I felt this was going to always continue, and that they were going to transition Critical Role into more of a network. The stories of Vox Machina are going to be Vox Machina under Exandria Unlimited, Mighty Nine under Exandria Unlimited. This episode for me is the biggest embarrassment that you could put on the internet to introduce players to tabletop gaming. Who was it? Dr. Limpkin sent me, because I hadn't had time to look at it, the tweet where Abria was like, it might have been a little rough, kind of, I don't know the exact wording, but she knew she was being an a-hole. This is, I don't know, I wish I had some more time to get into comments, but I, got to figure out what the weather's going to do here. There's some people probably going to love this, but don't call me toxic or anybody else or berate anybody in the chat when you can let somebody talk to people like that. Outside of the Spider Queen, I figured it was going to be a bad episode, and I was really hoping for the best, but this takes the cake. And I don't know. I'd love to hear your comments, because this wasn't it for me. This Exandria Unlimited for me is a lesson in anybody can DM, but not everybody should. I got this shirt to basically explain this series. It says, because I'm the DM, that's why. That was the premise of this. Because I'm the DM, that's why I don't care about nothing. This wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. This was an embarrassment. Let me know your thoughts.